Hi, my name is Melina Bailey, and I have converted to Islam for about almost 3 years now. And I would like to just discuss some common questions that that have been asked and how I had found out about Islam. Originally, I had moved down to North Carolina from Buffalo, New York, and my grandparents and my great-grandparents had all lived there, and they were Catholic. My parents were both born Catholic. My father is Polish, and my mother was Italian. And then they, had met, and they ended up converting from Catholicism to born-again Christian. We were in a non-denominational church in Buffalo. And then we had moved down to North Carolina about 8 years ago now, and we were still going to church, and then my sister had met somebody, and she said he was Muslim, and they were getting into a serious relationship, and we didn't know anything about Islam. My family didn't. We were really, dedicated to Christianity, and my sister had started researching, so we, welcomed him in our family with open arms, and we're really curious to learn about his views and his religion and stuff. And then, my sister and him ended up getting married, and then later my sister decided that before they had children, she really wanted to research the religion and to, make a decision about what she wanted to raise her children as, because she didn't want to raise her children, introduce her children in a religion that she didn't believe in. She wanted them to support something that she believed in. So she had started researching, and she researched for about 2 years, and then ended up converting and saying, telling us, the family, that she didn't believe in the Trinity anymore, and that she had done lots of research on Islam. And it was really scary at first, because we, have a lot of common misconceptions about the religion, and it was really scary to see a big change in her, and her belief system, and the way that she acted, and the way that she dressed. I wasn't really interested in Islam at the time. It was really, scary to see my sister go through a lot of changes in her ideas. But eventually, my family had stopped going to church, not practicing Christianity or believing into it, but they had stopped actively going to church. At that point I was young. I was going through high school, and eventually I decided, I became confused about what I really believed in. My parents were saying one thing, my sister was saying another thing. So I decided that I really wanted to research myself and decide what I believed and what the truth was to me, and to not just accept what I was religion I was born into, and to actually research it, and either way it would make me stronger in Christianity or stronger if I wanted to convert to Islam. So that was my goal. I planned on doing that, but I never actually had the encouragement to do that. I was busy being a teenager, doing other things. And then my sister had ended up moving overseas, and every time that she had come back to visit for the summertime, she was a lot more religious, a lot more strict in the religion, and it was very scary to see these changes. And then she had introduced me to somebody. I'd met somebody that was also Muslim, and I had started a relationship with him. So then I had started a relationship with him, and before we got serious, we had decided that we were gonna separate and not see each other, and I was gonna really research the religion and really decide what I really wanted to believe before I started a serious relationship with this person. So then I had started researching the religion, and the first thing that I researched, that was my motivation, was am I going to continue a relationship with this person, have a serious relationship, because this is a big step of having somebody from a different religion and having an interracial, not interracial, but cross-cultural marriage is difficult enough, let alone having a marriage with two people practicing different religions. So I really wanted to research before I really made a decision. And when I researched, the first thing I researched was women's rights in Islam, to find out what the truth. I had heard a lot of rumors, and we see a lot of things in the media, and I had a lot of misconceptions. I wanted to find out what the religion actually practices. Yeah, so I had a lot of misconceptions about what the rights of women were, in Islam. Some, common things that I had thought before. Women were forced to cover, and they had to maybe walk behind their husbands or something out of respect. They had to ride in the back seat of a car. just like, common misconceptions. When I actually started researching, I found a lot of things that I was really surprised that there was a lot of points that I agreed with in the religion, and a lot of rights that they had given women. For instance, a woman has the right to, hold her own property, have her own business, be in the charge of her own money, and make business deals and stuff without any, male influence. Her husband doesn't have any right to her money, any right to her inheritance. Her father doesn't, and she's able to hold property and make business and stuff on her own. And that was something I was really surprised to hear about because, of so many misconceptions that people commonly have. So I had agreed with a lot of points, and, then I continued researching what does the, religion actually say. And one of the big things was, the relationship. I didn't really know what it actually believed. I thought maybe they worshipped Muhammad. They didn't believe in Jesus and believe in God. And then when I actually researched, I found out that, they do believe in Jesus and they do believe in God, but they don't believe in the Trinity. So many stories were the same. It was very easy researching Islam because I was so used to so many of the ideas and so many of the stories because there's so many similarities between Christianity and Islam. Especially, when I was born again Christian, I was, raised and used to hearing these same stories, and they run along the same line. We have the same prophets, most of them, the same, stories of Abraham, Moses, Noah. So many things are exactly the same, the stories, but the thing that had differed was, the Trinity. And that, Muslims believe, we don't worship Muhammad. They believe that Muhammad was a prophet and that he was the last prophet. And their relationship with Jesus is that they, believe that he was one of the most, well-respected prophets, but they don't believe that he actually is God incarnate. They believe that, he was a man and that he was a prophet of God and that he, told people to worship God as one. And a common thing, which is, a big debate among Muslims and Christians, is that the Muslim standpoint is that worshiping Jesus, as a God in place of, the Father, is associating partners with God. So then when I had started, researching the ideas of, Jesus in Islam, a lot of things, made a lot of sense because when I researched what their take on of the Trinity was, I realized that personally to me that the Trinity, was something that didn't make 100% sense to me. It was something, that I was used to practicing and used to the idea, and I didn't really question because I thought it was really, wrong to question things in, in my religion, what my parents were and what, I was born in. So used to this idea, I didn't really, question or look for anything else or have any reason to. I was comfortable with the beliefs and I was, practicing Christianity. But, researching also that, they believe in the virgin birth. And a lot of points when I researched the difference between the points that the Christians made about, well, Jesus is, the Son of God and that he is God, compared to what the Muslims said that, Jesus, he, is a prophet of God, but he is not God himself, and that you have to worship God, and he told people to worship God, only, and he didn't ask people to worship him, just, God the Father. So, researching all the whole different points that the Muslims had made and the points that the Christians had made, and doing it open-mindedly and really, like researching it and you coming to other people with, questions. It's the one thing that I had liked about Islam was that it's okay to, ask questions and to research, and if something doesn't make sense, historically it should make sense, scientifically it should make sense, logically it should make sense. And that was one of the things I really enjoyed about Islam, is that there is a lot of scientific points in the religion that were proven, to be true. There's a lot of, common grounds. We're the most closely related religion to Islam is Christianity. But one of the points when I did my research that really had, which was a personal thing that really had hindered me, when I really, thought that the Muslims made some valid points and that this really was a good, belief system, and what I had heard about in the media and what I had heard about in, from different cultures. There's so many different Muslim countries, and they each have their own spin and own take and own practice on things, and that's not what the actual religion is practicing. That's, things that over time, the religion is almost 1,500 years old, over time these countries have been introduced to religion, but they changed through their cultural habits.